I used to get nervous inside. Look in the mirror, don't even try. There's something is changing, it feels amazing, and I got no reason to hide. My legs started shaking, man, there ain't no faking all these moves that I'm making with all these rules that I'm breaking. And I look to my left and I look to my right, not a soul inside. I'm gonna dance like nobody's watching, nobody's watching, so I dance like I don't even care. I'm gonna move like it's not an option, I'll put my hands in the air, keep them there. Gonna dance like nobody's watching. Dance, it's who I am, this is how I dance. It's who I am, dance like nobody's watching. You don't like my style, I don't feel bad when you see.
We are here at Darren's Ballroom in downtown Carmel with former Miami County resident and owner of Darren's Ballroom and head instructor, Darren Lee Cupp. So Darren, first of all, I saw on Facebook you were born in Britain. Tell me about that.
Yeah, my dad was military and met my mom over there, and I was born in Warrington, which is right outside Liverpool and Manchester, and then I've been over here since I was 4.
So you haven't picked up that British accent.
No, I've heard it my whole life though with my mother.
So when did you end up, your dad was transferred to Grissom?
We bounced around a lot when I was a kid. We came to Grissom when I was in the 8th grade and was there all through middle school and high school.
Okay, and then you graduated in what year from mechanical?
1992.
1992. Hate to age you.
Yeah, thanks for that.
So you graduate from Mechanical High School, then what's your path?
Well, when I was at Mechanical, I was always acting or singing or dancing, something along those lines, and I knew that if that was the path I wanted to go, I had to get out of Indiana. So I kind of jumped on a bus with $50 in my pocket and a backpack and went to the East Coast. And got there, I didn't know anybody. I kind of lived on the streets for a little while, and then one day I answered an ad looking for dancers and showed up at this audition and went through the whole day process and found out that it was to be a ballroom instructor, and ended up getting chosen out of all the people that were there. They picked one guy and one girl, and they kind of narrowed us down throughout the day. And then when I got it, I got shipped off and trained on how to teach the dances, how to break them down, how to actually work in this industry, and that's kind of what led to the ballroom career. My first dance studio I opened in 1998, and it was in New Hampshire, and it was also a Darren's Ballroom. I had it for maybe a year and then realized I was way too young to have that much responsibility, and I didn't really want it. So I walked away from the studio at that time. I was young, I was like 26 years old, and was not ready to try and run a business. I opened this studio in 2009, and right before that my dad had passed away, left me a little bit of money, and I remember sitting on my couch and the check was on my coffee table and I was looking at it, and I looked at my mom and I was like, I don't know what to do with this, but I wanted to do something important with it, and I wanted to do something that he would have been proud of. And she said to me, invest it in yourself. So that's how I opened Darren's Ballroom, and we're coming up on our 9th year. Since I opened Darren's Ballroom, I did it for a few years, and then the first big thing that actually happened was one day I was on the dance floor, I was teaching lessons, and the phone rang and the voicemail went off, and I'm hearing the answering machine as I'm teaching, and I hear that she's a casting agency from Los Angeles wanting to know if I wanted to be in the Super Bowl with Madonna. And myself and the instructor that was on the floor at the time, we both stopped dancing at the same time and just looked at each other, and we both said, did she just say Super Bowl with Madonna? So I walked over, we hit play on the answer machine, and sure enough, it was a casting agency from New York, or from Los Angeles, that had found me online and called and offered me the Super Bowl halftime show. So then they called us up, they named off 10 people. I was one of the 10 names. So I'm walking over thinking, okay, this is the first 10 people they're gonna cut. So I get over there, and then they told us that we were the sight line, the camera line, and that we were all hand chosen by Madonna to be in that row so that when the cameras panned by, we were going to be seen on camera. They bounced us around a lot during the production of it, but I stayed right there on the end. So
Was she
really
there
cool.
at the rehearsal?
She was not there the first 2 weeks. She showed up the last week, so she was there for the last week of rehearsals. They all were. Madonna was there, Nicki Minaj was there, they were all there. So we did get to see her. She actually came through our lines and actually hand adjusted all of our costumes. So she came up to every single one of us and was that hands-on with everything throughout the production. It was pretty big. So that was fun. That was the first thing that kind of sparked from Darren's Ballroom, and then right after the Super Bowl led to Legally Blonde the musical, and then I was asked to choreograph that, and then I got a part in it, and I played Emmett in it, and that was a lot of fun too.
All right, and then you've done some acting?
Yeah, so acting I've always done, but here recently, I think it was 2013 or 14, I did an independent movie called Dracula Now and played Dracula, which was a lot of fun. And then recently I did a new movie where I was also producer, so I got to produce a motion picture. And this one's going to be really cool. This one's called Haven, and it comes out in 2018. It'll come out in May 15th, I think, is the release date.
And what will that be seen?
It'll be on Netflix. So that one it'll come out, it'll be on iTunes, it'll be on demand, and it'll be, you'll be able to stream it on Netflix.
And you've done a few reality shows with your ballroom dancing?
Yeah, in 2015, I was contacted by a producer in New York who I had known from when I was a kid. I had known him for 15 years. And he sent me a message or an email and said, "Do you have any interest in doing reality TV?" So I thought about it and I was like, sure. So he was producing an international reality show for Fox Life, which is a subsidiary of Fox. And then we ended up going to Mexico. All of us, they flew us to Mexico. We headlined the Coco Bongo Club, which was insane. We showed up with these routines. We didn't know where we were performing. We knew we were performing at the Coco Bongo Club, but we didn't realize that it was a 13 by 13 foot box, basically, in the middle of this nightclub. And we had Viennese waltz routines prepared, which take up a lot of space. And we had to fit everything into this box and dance surrounded by 1,000 people that were pressed all the way up to the box. Unlike anything I've ever done in my career, and unlike anything in the ballroom dance industry. That's something that's very rare. But they shot it live to 47 different countries, and that show got me nominated for a star on the Latin American Walk of Fame, which I'm the only the second dancer to ever be nominated. There's only one dancer that has one. I didn't get it, but I was still nominated for it, so that was kind of cool. And then that led to the reality show that I produced, which is called Ballroom Revolution, which is out now.
All right, and what about your singing?
Again, been singing all the way back to McConaughey days. So in 2016, I was talking on the phone one day with my publicist who is out of LA, and I told her I would love to get into the studio and actually record a single. So she put me in touch with a friend of hers his name is Warren McRae, and if you don't know who he is, you should Google him because he's amazing. And he plays bass for Tina Turner. He's produced her tours and her albums. He's produced albums for Patti LaBelle, Nona Hendrix, Joe Cocker, Christina Aguilera, Cher. He's huge, and he's really, really talented. So she said, you should get in touch with him and see if he'll produce your music. And I thought, yeah, right. There's no way this guy's going to work with me. So I ended up calling him. We talked on the phone for like an hour, and then he said, I would love to produce your music for you. So we started working together for the first single, which was Nobody's Watching, and we released that one and got that one out. It ended up charting in 4 different countries. It's been heard thousands and thousands of times. It's been awesome. And then we released the second single, which I wrote, called Turntable. I co-wrote it with Warren. And then we are currently working on the third single, which is going to be country, so a completely different genre. And this one I completely wrote, which I'm really excited about because my dad always told me, you should be a country singer, which my response was always, I can't sing country because I'm not depressed enough. But now I feel like I'm going to release that single for him, so I'm real excited to get that one out.
So if somebody wants to find these, where would they find them?
They're available anywhere. So you can get them on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, you can Spotify, Pandora. They're released anywhere you can find music. You just search Darren Lee Cupp, my music will come up.
So you recently started designing your own bracelet line?
Yeah. It was actually the same conversation with my publicist when I said I would really love to get back into music. And she said, you really should do a product that has your name attached to it. So originally I was going to endorse somebody's bracelet line. We didn't know whose. She was going to find some up-and-coming jewelry designer, and then I was going to promote their stuff. And then I said, why don't I do my own and I'll tie it into dance? So we came up with the Ballroom bracelet collection, and it's basically a bunch of different bracelets. Each one has its own unique look. They're all named and designed after a ballroom dance. So there's a bolero bracelet and a tango bracelet and a cha-cha bracelet. They're all designed with the same kind of attitude as the dance in mind. Those are available on my website.
I was getting ready to ask. Find them on your website.
Yep.
Which is?
DarrenLeeCupp.com.
All right. Well, back to your dancing. So you've got your teaching, and
Yep.
then you take some of your students and travel to competitions. Where
Yeah.
have you been for that?
Everywhere. Since I started doing this, I've done comps all over the world. But since Darren's Ballroom has opened, we've done Chicago and Nashville and South Beach and Miami and Los Angeles. We've done a lot of them. We usually do the Grand Nationals every single year. This year we skipped it and tried Hollywood instead. And next year we've got Tampa in February, we've got New Orleans in June, and we have South Beach in October. So we've got 3 already planned for next year.
So have you ever had someone come in that had no experience at all, just wanted to learn,
Most.
and then end up going to a competition and being successful?
Yes. And in fact, I was just talking about that last week with one of my students who was sitting here, and she was explaining to another student how she did that. So last year, in fact, I had one that had probably been dancing with me for about a month. And I said, hey, you want to go to Miami and do a dance competition? And she said, sure. And she placed first in every single one of her divisions. Now, when they go to a comp, they compete against other people that have had the same amount of lessons as them in their age category. So they're put up against other people at their level.
Kind of like handicapped in golf.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
classes in different sports.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's lots of them. So you don't have to be doing this for a long time to be ready for a competition. You go and you compete where you are. So it's really a matter of just having the guts to go out there and do it. That's the challenging part.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, and I wish you the best of luck with the movie and the new song coming out.
Thanks.
In this type of world, man turns against man, neighbor turns against neighbor. It's important we don't lose our dignity. It's what separates us from the people responsible for this world we live in.
TNT, with the TBE. Not with TNT, lose yourself with the bass down low. Not with TNT, with the TBE. Not with TNT, down low. Lose yourself with the lose yourself. Lose yourself with the lose yourself. Lose yourself with the lose yourself.
With the bass down low.
Just kids in our own backyard.